Hello everyone. So we're going to start on triangulation development number 1. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we start out with a 3-inch square base just like this. And I went ahead and just crossed corners from corner to corner. And what we're going to have is we're going to have a 1-inch square in the middle. So there's a couple different ways we can do that. Correct or 0. Okay. So naturally, this is looking down this side. So what we're seeing is the true length from here to here, from this midpoint across from there to there. We're not, if we were to turn this to the side, these lines would even be more difficult to read. Now we could use Pythagorean theory because now we know that this leg is 1.5 inches and this leg is 1 inch out. So 1 inch plus this one to be able to figure out our hypotenuse. We do the c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared, right? But there's a faster way to do it in CAD, and we're showing you different versions. There's also, this can be done on a piece of layout paper as well with a set of dividers and a compass. Okay? So going to find that true length, the next step, what we want to do is we need to make a polyline that comes and follows. We're just going to pick on this, and we're going to come straight out to here. It doesn't really matter how far at that point. And repeat polyline. And I'm going to do the same thing from here. And I don't need to come out nearly that far with this one. I'm just going to come out like that. Okay. I'm also going to go ahead and put a longer one right here in the middle, usually just a little bit further away. I don't want to snap to that point, so I'm going to go from there. And I want to make sure that I am straight up and down 90 degrees. Okay. All right. I do, in this case, I probably should have stopped it here. Let's trim these two. So I just want to trim that one to there. Okay. I'm going to escape it so that way I'm clicking to this point when I get there. Okay. All right. So my next step is to start using my circles, my radius, or in a hand layout situation, compass and dividers. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to a yellow, and I'm going to go from this left corner. Okay, so everything I'm going to do is from this point, which also translates to this point right here, and it also translates to this point right here. Okay, this right-hand corner is going to translate to this point, and it's also going to translate to this point, because this is a 3-inch length piece, exactly the same as this, and this is where we're going to develop our pattern. Okay, so I do need to use a center radius in this case. I'm yellow. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start here. And I'm going to stop to there. So from this point, I've figured out my radius from here looking down on the top section, but I need to translate that here to here. Okay, so if I were looking down again, I would be able to go from here out as a flat circle, and that would tell me the exact distance to there, and then I'm going to bring that line here to create my true length. So without further ado, let's copy this, right click off of my base point, and I'm going to match it to that point there. Okay, so now the thing I want to do is I want to take this polyline from here. I want to go to my actual true length height, which is there, and I'm going to come out to where these two connect. All right, so that's my actual true length. Okay, and as you can tell, that's a much different or a steeper angle here than it is here. Remember, we would turn this to the side looking at it from here from a section view. If we were looking down it this way, it looks much different than looking at it in this direction. All right, so now let me create another, take another circle, and I'm going to go from here to here, because again, I'm using radiuses to figure out my true length to be able to transform to this pattern. So I'm going to escape out of that. I want to copy this circle from this base point, and it's going to go here. Okay. Now I'm also going to go ahead and put it on this side, because if you notice, they're symmetrical. So now I've got these two radius points that are exactly where I need them to be. Okay. So we've got one side figured out. We know these two true lengths and this distance to here. Okay. So somewhere along this circle where it intersects is what is going to be our true height. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to actually take, I'm going to do a cyan or cyan, whatever you call it. And I'm going to go ahead and do another circle, because in order to figure out exactly where this point is, I need to pull a circle from here to there. Okay, and I want to copy this one from base point, and I'm going to transfer it to there. Escape, and I'm going to create another polyline that goes from here, top of my piece, out to here. And do the exact same thing. I need another circle that goes from here to there. Okay, so as you can see, they keep getting larger in diameter and radius, although these are my actual two tray lengths. If I just put the length up here, if I were to just copy this line, I would still have to figure out like at what angle, right? So without using sine, cosine, or tangent to be able to figure that exact angle, that's kind of how we're able to do this, by using circles and radiuses. All right, so let me come back to this one. I want to copy this one here, and I want to do it from the base point for my radius. And since I pulled it from this section, I want to make sure to use it from this section. But again, if I do one, I need to do the other one. Okay, so now at this point, what I can tell is I can create more of my pattern. So I'm going to come back, and I'm going to switch back to white. I'm going to start my polyline from this edge to where these two meet, because this is exactly what happens, is where the cyan and the yellow circle meet is the first section of my left line. And I'm going to come over here to meet this one, and then I'm going to come back down. Okay, so there's something else that I want to do right here at this point, is I'm actually going to use these intersecting circles to make another line. Okay, so I am going to start here, and I'm going to go all the way down here. And if you notice, that white line separates all these pieces. Okay, so real quick, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a layer and hide these. So I'm going to add a layer, and I'm going to put, let's call it true length circles. Okay, sorry. Okay, enter, and let me escape out of this. So now I can pull, and I can see I have it. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to come back here, and without getting rid of all these other ones, I'm just going to get rid of these ones here right now. I'm going to properties, right click, properties. I'm going to go to layer, true length circles, and they're done. Close out, and I am going to click onto this one, and now they are gone. Okay, again, what I'm still looking at is we are still in layer 0, but my true length ones are now hidden. I'm going to come up, I'm going to do a trim function of this. Now, let me just select them all. Right click, and trim. Now it wants me to trim this one, and it wants me to trim this one. Escape. Now this can be fairly confusing, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this on. Let's bring this back. Let me take this one, and let's switch it to cyan real quick. Okay, enter. Seems like it's not going very well. Okay. Okay, escape, escape, and it's cyan even though it doesn't look that way. So the original paperwork shows you that you're going to split down this half and down this half. So when we do this true projection, if you were to measure this length, it's definitely higher than this, and this whole profile, this flat pattern, is bigger than this section, because again, this isn't an angle going away from us looking at it in this direction. So this is my 1/2 of a flat pattern. Now you can go in and you can do other things as far as like creating other circles to be able to do things, but since this is a symmetric piece, I want to speed this up for me. So I'm going to mirror this entire thing, and it's going to ask me to mirror off of this and this, and I'm going to say erase source object. I'm going to say no. Then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to mirror again. I'm going to collect this one, and I want to make sure to take this one, right click, and I'm going to hit here and here. Okay. Oh, my mistake. I know better than hit the escape button. So here, here, and here. Right click, here, and there. No. So this is all one piece. I'm going to now select this, and I'm going to explode it so that all these pieces are them individual cells. I'm going to come in and I'm going to trim. Let me try that again. There, it's getting all trim. Right click. I'm going to do that. So that says it doesn't intersect, and that's okay. So we got a cure for that here in a minute. Okay, and enter. Now let's just take this and delete it, and delete it. Now there's our true half pattern. If we were looking at coming across here right in the middle, we've got this half profile, and at this point I can actually delete that, and there's my true exact half pattern. Okay, so this is one way of making a half pattern, but depending on the type of application, if you've built the toolbox by now, that you'll notice that there's a lot of distortion that can be made. If this is a nice even piece right down through this middle, it's a nice easy butt joint, but there can be a tremendous amount of distortion that can happen there, as well as the pieces being contorted. So let me just do some Control-Z real quick. And let me suggest that if I were to build this, depending on the application, I would make the cut line here, and those would be my two outside corner weld joints. So it would be full penetration weld, in which case I wouldn't have had to do this other mirrored section. Okay, so there's our first triangulation pattern. I want you to send me this whole 3-wing piece like this, and then just copy and paste this to the side, and then trim out these 3 to give me both different patterns of which way you would do. Typically, if I'm going to make something for a customer, I would give them multiple options. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.